Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Eddy Miranda from Men's Physique News, and we're on doing the Road to Olympia interviews. And today, who we have, he is actually going to be a three-time Olympian. His pro Olympian debut, he got third place, and last year he got fifth. And this year he's going to be going in there to try to get that first call, to try to stay in the top five, and to try to break out amongst the rest. Today we have Jeremy Potvin. What's up, Jeremy?
What's going on, Eddie? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. So just wanted to go back a little bit. 2 years ago, you did your debut at the Olympia. That was basically your first year as a pro, and you already came out with guns blazing, getting third. Now this following year, you came in and you dropped down the two places, getting your fifth place. Still qualified for this year's Olympia. But how did you feel from your first year to second year, getting that fifth place?
Honestly, a lot of people would be down and out about it. Because you never want to go down, you want to move up. But the level of competition was just insane. I felt like I could have peaked a little bit better. Could have came in a lot fuller. My conditioning wasn't so bad, but the fullness was a big issue. And, when I came in and I brought 100%, everybody else brought up, 120%. So I felt like my placing is either justified or honestly probably could have been worse.
I hear you. So I know you don't. Ever since the Olympia, you really don't hit the stage a lot. But last year you did hit the Arnold Classic stage. You ended up getting fifth place, and I remember we discussed back then, like you had a rough prep with that. I know you had some situations with your family, so you ended up starting the prep late. But with all that, you still got fifth place. Were you content with that?
No. Coming off a third place finish at the Olympia, all the pressure's on you. You obviously sit there and you feel like you're a front runner. If you're capable of getting third, and that year I got third, myself, Ryan Terry, and Jeremy Potvin were all within, 1 point. So it was a very close competition. I think probably the closest it's been in men's physique for the top spot. So I had high standards for myself, but I let a lot of things get to me. Um, and it's just, that's life. It's another learning point. So as long as I don't repeat those same mistakes, then all is golden.
Now, after your last Olympia, where you got your fifth place, you ended up taking a bit of a break. Now, I know in that whole transition, you were moving from California to Texas. Now, how was that whole transition in that period between you moving states and still trying to stay on point with what you're doing?
Honestly, it wasn't too complicated. Courtney and myself, we were very excited to get here to Texas. Um, and just kind of start doing everything that we need to do and get our life on track. Um, However, I think after actually being here, we found Dallas is a lot more of a stressful place than we anticipated. So we don't plan on being here that much longer either. Once our lease is up, we're out. But transition wise, it wasn't so hard. It was actually a nice change of scenery.
And you, during that transition, you started training over at Destination Dallas, I believe it is. Now, how was it? I know there's a whole bunch of pros there. You have like Jason Poston, you have Kim Santos, you have a lot of pro athletes going through that gym. Like, what's the environment? How did you feel training there?
It's a great environment. To A lot of good equipment, a lot of good people out there. Um, Now, just like any other gym where a lot of people do the same thing, there's going to be people, constantly trying to talk to you, see how you're doing. And right now, I'm actually not training there for that reason. I like to focus on my workout, get in, get out, and do all that. But, if you're off season and you're looking for some motivation and things like that, fantastic gym to train at.
And during the process of this year, you switched from zero gravity over to cement factory. Now, first of all, how was that transition for you? And second, how are you feeling with cement factory as far as your prep is concerned?
First, I'd like to say I have nothing but respect for Ryan Benson and everything he's done for me. Amazing guy. He did a lot for me. It's just I felt like my last two shows that I did, I could have been better. And not to say that's on him or anything, but I didn't really feel the necessity in changing protocols, I guess you could say. And I know a lot of these coaches like to experiment with that. I like very basic, very structured, regimented protocols, and that's what AJ Sims does. His is very structured, it's very regimented, and it's exactly what I needed, especially now that I'm not seeing Ryan in person. So I needed somebody who was good online, um, and that's why I ultimately made that decision.
Now, I mean, now you have like two different coaches. Now, your prep from one Olympia to another Olympia is going to be completely different. So how is it? How's your prep for this Olympia in comparison to last year's?
This one's been hard. Not gonna lie, you're familiar with Ryan's protocols and how he likes to do a carb cycle. You can mentally prepare yourself for the prep because you're going to eat. You're going to get that high day in there at some point. With AJ, it's a day by day basis. So I don't know exactly when I'm going to eat or when I'm going to get a refeed. I could be stuck on low carbs for well over weeks at times, but I do enjoy it because it's been very physically challenging to me, very physically and mentally challenging. So it's new. I'm learning, and I can't say my body's responded better to this than carb cycling, but it's very similar.
And then at the Olympia, I mean, other than going for the title, I mean, everybody wants to go for that title. Stepping on that stage, everybody always wants to be, okay, I want to be compared. I want to beat this guy. Who are those people that you would say, like, I just want to match up against. I want to see if I could beat them.
Uh, I mean, it's everybody in that top seven. I was in the top seven last year, I believe. Of course, Jeremy looks ridiculous coming off that surgery. I didn't even think it was possible to look the way he does. Andre's Andre. He always comes in looking, like a gift. Uh, you have Brandon, who again is just a beast. Raymond. It's always hard to stand next to somebody like Raymond because of how big he is, and me being so damn short. Bless you. That's the person I'm most nervous about standing next to is Raymond, just because, like I said, it's hard to short.
And it's funny that you say that because Ryan Hinton and myself were actually talking about that, like comparing you versus Raymond. And I actually found the picture. The video. I'm like, that's not a bad comparison. It can actually kind of work out.
Foot on me, so he's got like a foot and almost 100 pounds on me, I'm sure. He's a big dude, and like I said, he's very smooth with his posing and presenting his physique, and I think that's the thing that stands out the most about him is how confident he appears on stage. And of course, Ryan Terry. You can never count Ryan Terry out because I think outside of his character, he fits men's physique the criteria very well. And then Logan Franklin has made huge improvements. I think he's going to be somebody to keep an eye out on as well.
Now, let's say you do win the Mr. Olympia title this year. What would you do with that title? Like, would you go and more support the sport, or what would your intentions be if you do win that title?
Obviously, I want to be as good of an ambassador as I can for the IFBB and the NPC. That's been my goal since the beginning is just to be a very positive and motivational ambassador for this. Present a good image, and I feel like with the title of Mr. of Men's Physique Olympia, it's much easier to do that. Jeremy, I feel, is doing a great job right now in everything that he's doing, but he did have a rocky start. He was very young when he won and he came onto all of this. And it created I want to say a bad image, but it did create a negative image for a little bit. Um, so, I would think that doing something like what he's doing now and continuing that would be something to aim for.
And you had mentioned Jeremy coming off the surgery and the way he looks right now, but you had your own surgery. You had to go in for a minor surgery as well, so you had some time off as well, and you had some before and after pictures, basically showing the same thing. Were you worried about that? Were you worried about the surgery and then trying to build everything back up?
I wasn't. Muscle memory is a beautiful thing. Um, and I've never really had a lagging chest, so I knew if I spent some time behind my chest, it would come back no problem. Now, the big injury that I did have was my lower back, my QL. That I still need to go see a doctor over. I actually did rack pulls for the very first time since February, or any sort of like bent over movement. Um, so I was always worried about my back being where it needed to be to stand up to everybody or stand next to everybody. But I found ways around it. Found ways to train, and you know, basically didn't want to create any excuses for myself as to why I can't stand next to these guys. So
Yeah. So, like what you said, it's like you don't want to make up any excuses on why you can't stand up to these guys. So, what would be like? You have a lot of fans, you have a lot of followers. What would be that word of encouragement? Saying to all those people, like if they want to get into a sport, and maybe they're doubting themselves or they have a second guess.
day by day. That's been my saying for a while now. Something I stand very firmly behind. You just got to take things day by day. You can't, look ahead and get too caught up in what you're trying to do. You can't dwell on what's behind you. You just gotta, take each day like it's a new day, and own that shit. Basically, what it's down to.
Awesome, man. Well, Jeremy, I truly want to thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy. You're 4 weeks out from the Mr. Olympia, and Olympia prep is no easy task, and just stepping on stage is hard enough as it is. So I want to wish you the best on your prep, and the best on the Olympia stage this year.
I appreciate that, Eddie. It was great talking to you, and hope everything's well with you, the missus, and the baby. So,
Thank you, brother.
all right, man.
Until next time, you will see you guys later. Bye.